Hear ye, hear ye! American Players Theater and Spring Green won the 2026 Regional Tony Award. APT is a theater located in the woods about 20 miles from Madison with a 1,075-seat outdoor hill theater and a 200-seat indoor touchstone theater. The summer season is now playing through October 4th with 8 plays in a rotating repertory. This week, you can use code CITY20 for 20% off any performance in the Outdoor Hill Theater. Tickets and information at AmericanPlayers.org or by calling 608-588-2361. Need a new car? The Society of St. Vincent de Paul is hosting a car raffle fundraiser to raise money for their Madison food pantry, pharmacy, micro-lending program, and other services that help local families. That's right, you can buy tickets now for a chance to win one of 5 brand new vehicles. They've got 2026 Hondas, Nissans, and 1 Mazda. Tickets are $100 each and only 5,000 will be sold. Find more details on the cars and buy tickets at svdpmadison.org/raffle. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about.
It's Thursday, so of course it's time to dish on Madison's food and bar scene. I'm executive producer Haley Sperling here, sitting in for your host Bianca Martin, and joining me today is the brain and voice behind the Stuff Your Face show on WORT 89.9, Emily Tucker. Emily, welcome to CityCast Madison.
Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here.
Yes, we are so stoked to have you, and we are going to learn all about you a little bit later in this show. But first, I have to welcome back Patrick O'Halloran, the co-owner and chef at The Deliciouser. Patrick, welcome back to CityCast Madison.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
And we are so thrilled to talk to you right now because you are in your winningest chef era. You were recently named Chef of the Year by Madison Magazine. So huge congrats to you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a little bit of a wild ride, a little surreal. I was just in a grocery store yesterday and saw rows of my face at every checkout line. And that's kind of a weird sensation. But we couldn't do it without our staff and the team that we've built here at The Deliciouser. So, no chef accomplishes anything like this alone. It's a team effort.
Gotta shout out the team. And yes, if anyone hasn't seen that Madison Magazine cover, go check it out. Patrick, you doing your little Salt Bay situation with the spices, which is so fitting because The Deliciouser, for folks who don't know, started as a place for folks to buy spices that can really level up their home cooking. And of course, that is still a huge part of what y'all are doing, but you're also now serving up these incredible, globally inspired dishes at the restaurant. So what do you think it is about what you're doing that is making such an impact and getting this type of recognition here in Madison?
Well, I think, I've had a long career here in Madison, cooking here for almost 30 years. But then it was the pandemic that helped me to make this shift, the pivot that everyone did to develop a product around what I love, which is travel, history, culture, and food. So I kind of baked that into the cake at The Deliciouser that we have to travel around the world, source spices from around the world, and we cook globally. So we take all of our knowledge that we've accumulated as a team over the years and kind of apply that to these spice blends. And we cook dishes that kind of respect different cultures, but don't keep us in a box. And so we've developed kind of from this underground business making spices in a basement kitchen on Atwood Avenue over to our current location on Main Street, where we have a spice lab in one unit and a small restaurant and shop right next door. So we produce spices and we cook with them right at the source. And we're doing lunches Tuesday through Saturday. And dinners are Wednesday through Saturday. And Wednesday nights we do half price wine. And, it's really been growing steadily. And I think the recognition kind of came from just reinventing yourself. It's kind of the American ethos for one to reinvent themselves.
It really is, right? Living the American dream right there, going from Atwood Avenue. I remember walking past that old space all the time because I actually used to work at an office literally just a couple blocks down, right when me and my co-founder of Madison Minutes, Sam, when we were starting the business. And then here we are, we reinvented ourselves into CityCast Madison, and it all led us here today. So it's all for something, right? And,
Yeah.
leaning back into those spices, obviously, again, they're a huge part of what your team is doing. And I have to give a shout out to BJ Lee, who is a CityCast Madison neighbor and the spice blender over at the Deliciouser. Shout out to BJ. Hello, friend. I'm curious about how the restaurant and the spice lab sort of work together in tandem, right? Because you've got these two distinct things and they're producing things that work together, but how do they coexist?
So, like I said, we have this unique situation where we have a spice lab on one side of the wall and a restaurant right next door. And they're two separate businesses. We're growing this spice business, kind of shipping nationwide. We're in about 200 different retail locations across the upper Midwest. And what we do is kind of develop things. We started with 12 things in that little tiny basement kitchen 6 years ago. And now we have 58 spice blends. We're launching the 59th, which is our Chicago steak rub. And then we have 8 more spices like loaded in the barrel that we're currently in development on. And what BJ does is kind of take my ideas and refine the process. So he's a process guy and I'm an ideas guy. And together, what we create is a really fun synergy of how we take a product and taste it and refine it. And then he takes the procedure and the process and kind of make sure that that spice blend that you're getting in a jar today will be the same as it is 5 years from now, so that there's real consistency. And then we take them right across the hall and we have a whole culinary team, and that team is growing, like I said, with lunches and dinners, adding more chefs to the team all the time. And we are kind of finding new ways to cook with those spices, because the first thing we learned right away was people would smell them, see them, and think these are beautiful, these are great, but what do you do with them? So we had to develop that whole side, which includes workshops and, a spice club that comes out quarterly where I give spice talks, and we do some kind of exclusive video content that teaches you how to use these spice blends.
I love that. Madison's spiciest club right here.
Yeah. we want to be Madison's, spice company. That's our goal.
I think you've certainly accomplished that goal. I know when I see the Deliciouser spices on the shelves of Willie Street Co-op, for example, those are the ones I go to. Specifically, your Za'atar, which I've shared with you before, Patrick, that I absolutely love. And it's hard to find that spice in other brands around town. I love what you mentioned about that synergy between BJ as the process person and you as the ideas person. I had the chance to interview BJ last year in the Spice Lab, and I still remember the smell walking in there and how inviting and warm it was. And he even showed me how to grind a couple of spices. It made for some really great audio. At the time, he said Bamba was his favorite spice. And I know chefs don't love to be asked about favorites, but I am going out on a limb here. What is your favorite spice that you create?
Well, yeah, that one is, it is a favorite. So part of the process that BJ does is, we're bringing things in and we're not just bringing things in and mixing them up. We're bringing in whole spices. We're toasting them when they need toasting, which releases like their essential oils and amps up the flavor. And then we're grinding them on various pieces of equipment to get different textures. Because as a chef, I love a pinch of this, a pinch of that. I like a little texture. We're adding salt and sometimes sugar to dry rubs when necessary, but that's not our main focus. But like you mentioned, that one is great. We're currently working on Better Butter Burger, which is a butter-based spice with smoky notes that we're serving in our smash burgers at lunch. And the Chicago steak rub that we are launching right now is based on what I love about this whole industry, the history and the storytelling. The word Chicago comes from an indigenous word, Chicago, the place where the wild onions grow. So where the river and Lake Michigan meet in Chicago, French explorers came there and they heard this word, Chicago, wild onions growing here, and that became Chicago. Chicago. So there is a history of, the stockyards and steakhouses in Chicago, but no spice company was kind of leaning into the story of the onions. So our Chicago steak rub leans into leeks and shallots and green garlic and onions and wild onions and, like any kind of allium that we could get in there with some smoky notes. So, that's currently one of my favorites. So it jumps around, it's like your children, right? Of course, you have a favorite one day. Like my mother, she has a little ranking system of the kids and the grandchildren. So I like to be at the top.
And you've got 58 different ones to rank now. That's a lot. That's a lot of hoops to jump through.
And, we're also a family business. So we say we're a blended family and we're blending spices together. So I'm working with my daughter in the restaurant every night. And then, my wife and my ex-wife are my business partners. So we have a really unique dynamic, but it's all based around coming together at the table and eating and making your food a little more delicious than delicious.
I love that. You are truly blending everything that is going on in your life. And I was going to ask you about your family. I really would love to know, what were their reactions when they heard that you were the chef of the year?
Everyone was excited about it. And, not even on a personal level, just like for our brand, because we're trying to grow this as something bigger. My dream was always to have a tiny restaurant, which we've kind of achieved in this roundabout way. But the thrust of the business is to grow the wholesale side, so someday we might retire. So we're really happy to get any recognition we can for the brand. So we were all excited about it. And like I said, it's a celebration of our entire team. Dan O'Connor, who's our chef de cuisine, Michelle Mao, who runs our pastries and all of our pasta doughs. They're big parts of the team. We have great bar staff. Zane Rhodes, who has moved on, but he was really instrumental in developing all the drinks that we've handed off to Jake right now. And they use spice blends in all of our drinks. So we're finding ways to incorporate them into everything we do. And, we have this tremendous team. And I can't say enough about the kitchen staff from Benito and Steve and Elvin and Raven. We just have a great little thing going here.
It takes a village. It takes 58 spices. Chef Patrick O'Halloran, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on CityCast Madison and joining us today.
It was a total pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And next, we are going to be talking about cookie salads? What the heck? But first, we're going to take a quick break.
Literacy is the moment. Madison Reading Project's mission is to connect our community with free books and literacy resources that ignite a love for reading and affirm and reflect the diversity of young readers. And they truly put on one of the coolest events of the year, and that's happening this week. Every year, Madison Reading Project hosts a paper fashion fundraiser to support children's book access and free literacy programs called Read E to Wear. And the creativity is unmatched. Ready to Wear is this Thursday, June 11th, from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Sylvie. This year's theme is Out of This World. Don't miss getting your tickets today at madisonreadingproject.com/readytowear2026. And gather your best mates. You get the best ticket price when you buy a 4-pack. So go get your friends together and enjoy this one-of-a-kind evening.
All right, Emily, we are back, and you are going to tell us about some unique Wisconsin salads, quote unquote. But first, we got to introduce you to our audience, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about your food credentials and who you are here in Madison. So, who are you, Emily Tucker?
Well, hello, Haley and CityCast listeners. Thanks so much for having me. This is really a thrill. So for the last couple of years, I have been the host and creator of a food-focused feature on WORT 89.9 FM. Shout out to Wart. It's called Stuff Your Face, and that is a feature on the 6 p.m. local news on most Tuesdays. And that's just been really fun. It's been a passion of mine for years to get more into food media, and doing that radio show has really just allowed me to get deep into the food scene here. And when we look at the world through the lens of food, the intersections, the conversations we can have, the stories we could tell are endless. And that's what I love about food and food media. I have long been a fan of all things food media related, devouring cookbooks from cover to cover, food magazines from cover to cover, food podcasts. And so it's been great to have the opportunity to really dive into that scene myself with the food radio show, and more food writing and audio to come from me.
That's awesome. We love a WORT alum. We've got some on our team too. And now I want to get into our conversation because, like I promised, we're talking salads, but we're not talking about ranch or Caesar or Italian. No. Emily, you've got the scoop on this Midwest innovation abomination. I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Haley. Yes, so I have had a few graduation parties to attend over the last couple of weekends, as I'm sure a lot of folks have. And a couple of them have been up in central and northern Wisconsin. And I think with summer picnics in full swing, potlucks in full swing, I feel there is this need to discuss and unpack this upper Midwest phenomenon, if you will, this oddity of, quote, cookie salads. So if folks aren't familiar, there is this Midwest tradition of mixing cookies, pudding, Cool Whip, heavy cream, buttermilk, other dessert type ingredients, boldly calling them salads, and then situating them right next to actual salads in a buffet or a potluck line. Now, this trend, from what I can tell, or this tradition, seems to have started in the 70s with cookie salads, but I think it goes back further with inspiration from the 1950s with Jell-O salads, which a lot of people may be familiar with, right? Where people put fruit and vegetables sometimes into a Jell-O mold. But cookie salads are known primarily in Minnesota and North Dakota. So I think that makes sense as to why we get some spillover here in Wisconsin, especially in the central and northern Wisconsin areas. One cookbook author and food blogger I've been following for years, her name is Molly Yeh, and she lives on the North Dakota-Minnesota border. She has a food blog called My Name is Yeh, and she owns a delightful cafe called Bernie's in Grand Forks, North Dakota, if anyone's up that way. But she wrote about cookie salads a few years back, and she said, I quote, "Cookie salad blows the other upper Midwest sweet salads, like candy bar salad, out of the water easily." So I think the fact that there is even a sweet salad category is the point of this conversation here. And just to share a couple examples of the salads I experienced all within one party, which were requested by my 18-year-old niece. So I think that also speaks to the fact that it's not just grandmothers who are showing up with these salads. They're being requested by the youth, but that makes sense when you hear the ingredients. So one was an Oreo cookie salad with Cool Whip and vanilla pudding. Then there was a taffy apple salad that had chunks of Snickers bars in it. And I guess I'm thinking, well, at least there is fruit in this salad.
It's giving like caramel apple to me. That one actually makes sense to me. And there's a fruit. So that absolutely put a check mark in the salad category.
Absolutely. There's a little fiber in there with the fruit. So there's also the very popular zebra cookie, if people remember those striped chocolate cookies that we had as kids. That is paired with mandarin oranges and, vanilla pudding and Cool Whip generally. So all of these salads were situated, like I said, right next to lettuce salad, potato salad, coleslaw, tuna salad, and an Italian pasta salad with a lot of vegetables that I will admit that I contributed when I heard the menu, thinking we need some more fiber here. It's also good to note that there were definitely actual desserts at this party as well, in the form of a soft serve ice cream machine, and also with a toppings bar for the ice cream and cheesecakes. So these sweet salads were really part of the potluck. I think it takes a little bit of a deeper dive into the history. Like, why did these salads evolve this way? And I think it also speaks a little bit to people's distaste or love for mayo-based salads, right? All of these salads have a creamy element in the heat of the summer. Everyone should make sure they have these salads on ice, I think. But
I mean, you would hope, right? That is best practices. We don't want anyone getting sick at these grad parties. It's stressful enough when your great aunt shows up and you don't even know where they are, yeah, put the mayo on some ice, please.
yeah, there's an article from Food Republic about why salads looked different in the early 20th century. So why did Jell-O salads become popular, during the Great Depression, and how did they evolve into these like sweet cookie salads? And it sounds like it's a mixture of, they were trying to stretch limited ingredients. They were trying to utilize leftovers. And, one quote from this article I thought was particularly interesting was, it says, the inventiveness reached new levels in the 1950s. American women were simultaneously encouraged to take advantage of the many new home technologies on the market and pressured to be ideal housewives, skilled in all domestic tasks, such as cooking. So my hot take here is I think cookie salads fit into this category of foods women were pressured to make in order to utilize industrialized packaged ingredients and make them look pretty at the same time.
And here's the thing about those like crazy Jell-O salads, because I was looking into this and I've also just been exposed to it recently because I've started watching Mad Men for the first time. And so, we're in the 60s and they are eating some weird Jell-O. But I'm not going to lie, it is aesthetically pleasing. Even when I see these probably what once were frozen vegetables, like a hard-boiled egg floating in this weird gelatin thing. Like, I don't want to eat it, but I do like looking at it.
Yeah, they should be sculptures in a museum, perhaps.
Yeah. It feels like absurdist art. Like, that's exactly what these things are. And also, I feel like it just lays out so perfectly the veggie salad to potato salad to Jell-O salad to cookie salad pipeline. Like, it makes sense when you think of the bigger picture like that. And I've never really encountered a cookie salad. I have a friend who I throw a Friendsgiving gathering every year. And a couple of years ago, he brought a quote unquote green salad. And it was like a pudding and whipped cream base. And it had chunks of pineapple. And I think it was pistachio pudding because the whole thing was green. Have you heard of this? Are you familiar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those things that I tend to stay away from a lot of sweet things, but they are aesthetically pleasing and they are crowd pleasers. So I think especially for backyard potlucks this summer, even if we don't see a lot of these cookie salads around Madison, I think people should keep them in mind, especially if you want a little 2-for-1 punch with a side and a dessert at the same time.
I think that's so smart. And honestly, yes, I think when we were eating this green salad that my friend brought, everyone was so shocked. They're like, why do I actually really like this? Like, why does this actually taste so good? Because all of the flavors and all of the ingredients that you just described, like, that does not sound like it to me. I also do love too, I was reading up about it earlier today that I guess Jell-O did a little bit of a rebrand in 2023 to appeal more to the Gen Z audience. So clearly it's working.
It's working.
I love it. We will embrace the Wisconsin culture with cookie salad. Maybe I'll bring one to the team. You'll have to send me your favorite recipe because this is a little bit out of my comfort zone. I wonder what kind of maybe Deliciouser would have some like cinnamon sugar spices or something to put in a cookie salad.
Cookie salad made Deliciouser, made fancy.
I love it. I love it. Alrighty. Well, we are going to dive more into our favorite summer drinks. I want to know what the drink of the summer is. What is our favorite sip happening? But before we get into that, we're going to take a quick break. Alrighty, we are back and I am thirsty for some summer cocktails. The sun is out and I've got some fresh flavors on the mind. But I want to know, Emily, do you have a go-to summer drink?
I am at a point in my life where alcohol just kind of makes me feel like garbage. So a little over a year ago, I actually quit drinking. I've been pleasantly surprised how little I miss it, and especially because of all of the NA drinks that are out there at various places, and also the THC infused seltzers and spirits that are available around town as well. So there are a couple things I wanted to highlight that I've noticed lately. So one is at the Warner Park Mallards baseball stadium, there is this new mocktails and more window, or sort of like the secret box. Basically, there's this wall of greenery that is near like where the baseball players come out for the games. And you can go up to this wall. There's a neon sign saying mocktails and more. You pick up a beverage keychain for your mocktail of choice. You open the box, you put it into the box, it closes back into the wall, and then it will open again for you to pay on the Square device. And you put that back in, and then when your mocktail is ready, this little greenery window opens up, and there is your mocktail. And apparently this new mocktail window is presented by Schönheit Gardens, which is actually a full-service landscaping company and seasonal retail garden center, which is located in Sun Prairie. So I thought that was really interesting that they're like showcasing this greenery wall as a way to, you know, entice people to get some mocktails. Just a really interesting and fun experience. I think it's new as of this past month, so interested to hear if anyone has tried it.
I am super interested in that. This feels like a journey into Narnia, but like instead of winter, you're in a whimsical forest. It's coming together once you said that it's being presented by a garden center. I'm like, okay, this is what makes sense here, but that sounds really cool. That doesn't sound like something that we would have in Madison normally. So go off. Like, that's so fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And I was there with my 6-year-old and his little buddy. So it was a little too much going on for me to navigate at the moment. So I didn't try one of the mocktails, but there is a TikTok video featuring it on the Madison Mallards TikTok if people want to take a look. I think it looks really fun. And I just like that they're making an effort to make the experience for folks who don't drink alcohol just as fun as it is for people who do. Another quick spot I wanted to shout out for folks who may be heading down to the Spring Green area for APT shows this summer is Slowpoke Lounge, which is right downtown Spring Green. They have a great cocktail menu and an extensive mocktail menu. And when I was there a couple months ago, I had the Tonic Ricky, and it was one of the best mocktails that I've had. So definitely people should give that a try. And then lastly, just wanted to shout out the Lunar THC beverage brand. They have them in cans at the Mallard Stadium for people going to baseball games, but also I've seen this brand at Gray Market, which, side note, is a very underrated spot on East Washington. They have their spirits, their NA spirits. So you can just get a little dose of, you know, THC made into an NA mocktail. And I think those are really nice, especially for folks that want a small milligram dose with THC beverages, which is definitely me.
I love that. And that's so funny because I love the Lunar brand as well, because they also have like the really high dose THC beverages, which is what I usually gravitate towards. But they are so good. They have one that tastes just like a Dr. Pepper. And I really, really like that because I love a Dr. Pepper.
And they have a root beer, too, which is actually the one that I chose when we were at the Mallards game recently. And it was a delicious root beer. So I love to hear the Dr. Pepper slaps as well.
Yes. And I think they've got like a grape soda. And yeah, try all the flavors. Why not? Try them all you can, because, you know, Wisconsin might lose these THC beverages come November. So
yes. And they are a Minneapolis company, I think, right, Haley?
I think that would make sense. The loon, it all comes together.
Yes.
I love it. Well, I mean, my favorite drink for the summer, I love a spicy marg. I love a cucumber marg. I'm clearly a fruity gal, love a strawberry daiquiri. I also love just like a regular shaken daiquiri, you know, with just like the fresh lime and the simple, and it's just so refreshing. And I know Bianca recently had an amazing experience with an Italicus Spritz over at Bar Corlini. I had to look this up too. She was raving all about it, but it sounded really good. And so here it is. According to Google, an Italicus Rosalio de Bergamonto is a vibrant Italian aperitivo crafted from Calabrian bergamot and Sicilian cedro, infused with botanicals like lavender, rose, and chamomile. It's known for its complex, lightly bitter citrus profile, and it's a very popular low ABV drink. So it's like not going to get you crazy. It's a good thing for people who maybe are sober curious, who want to still imbibe but not feel crazy after one drink. Bianca really, really recommended this one and said it kind of took her by surprise.
Yeah, really interesting with the bergamot flavor in there. I would be really interested to try that, or even to just give it a sniff.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love bergamot in a candle. I don't think I've ever ingested it.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned savory drinks. I kind of had to take a minute to think like, oh, what are my favorite savory drinks? But, a Bloody Mary comes to mind.
Yes.
And I think she's a drink for all seasons.
Oh, yes. And especially in Wisconsin. Do you have a favorite bloody spot? Low-key, I kind of love Jenna's. I think they have a really good bloody. There's something just very comforting about a bloody that is very traditional to me. Like, I don't need any fancy frilly things. I love a Mickey's bloody. I guess what I'm saying is I love a dive bar bloody,
Exactly.
Just like keep it greasy, keep them flowing.
Same. I mean, the first ones that came to mind to me are the ones that are closest to my house, Villa Tap and Bussey's Tavern on Sherman Avenue. So 2 dive bars to add to your Bloody Mary tour list.
I love it. A little north side representation out here. Do you have a favorite place? If you're not drinking, do you still like to go hang out when folks are coming in? Where would you recommend people go?
Definitely. Sticking with the north side theme, Northside Lounge has a really great drink list. And also they have a lot of mocktails as well. I had a really great mocktail there a few months ago, and they have a backyard area. I know the bar can get pretty crowded sometimes, which is great. So nice that it's warm out now and people can filter into the backyard. They've got like the nice twinkle lights. That's a really great spot.
I actually went there for the first time. Maybe last week, my friend took me out for my birthday. We went to Lola's and then we're like, well, let's go walk down to the Northside Lounge. And we stumbled in. The bar was very busy. There was surprise karaoke happening. I don't know if you've ever walked into a place where you're not expecting karaoke and then it like slaps you in the face because people are singing. So that's what happened. But we made our way to that little back patio area, and it is so nice out there, and couldn't hear the karaoke, could sit with my friends, enjoy the rest of the evening. I mean, shout out to anyone that's doing the karaoke. I love that for them. It was not my scene at that time. Catch me on a different date. But yes, 10 out of 10. I had never been there before, and I can definitely see that being like just a cozy, cute little neighborhood spot and a beautiful patio.
Absolutely. And I love Lola's too. Really grateful to have both of those spots up on the north side and in walking distance.
Yeah. And opening, I mean, within the past couple of years too, the north side, I feel like it is really, really coming up and people do love it out there. We were talking about the Mallards. They're right out there as well. I am curious too. We've been talking about this a little bit on the show because we talked about the Distill America Festival that just happened at the end of May. They're talking about all the different distilleries that come to town. And they also have a bigger focus now on low or zero proof spirits because I guess as it goes, the youth are not drinking as much these days. And so they're trying to adjust to that market. And they're coming up with all these different like canned cocktails, beverages. What do you think about that?
I'm great with canned cocktails. Yes, it does seem the youth are not drinking as much, and it seems like sometimes like 40-year-olds aren't either, so it's fascinating. I guess I'm on trend. So I'm really good with any sort of canned cocktail, especially because if you're out on the lakes, no glass allowed. So if you're out in a boat or on a canoe, it's great to have a can. And also you can have a can koozie. The can fits really nice into that. I do think drinks stay colder in a can, especially in a can koozie, than they do in glass anyway. So I think it's a win-win. There is, not to lean too hard into the NA beverages, but there is another great newer canned NA old-fashioned cocktail, and it started by a friend of mine, Feroz Kamani, right here in Madison, and that one is getting a lot of attention. It tastes delicious, so it's definitely worth checking out.
I love that. And I do like when people put intention into the canned beverages in the NA space specifically, because it could so easily be like, well, this is just a seltzer water, or like this is just a soda, but they're actually being intentional about it and building those flavor profiles.
Yes, and I think that's the really important piece of it, is that these NA cocktails and spirits, they have bitters worked into those flavor profiles, and that really hits differently. It hits a different note for people than just having a seltzer with lemon, for example.
And honestly, I do love a bitters and seltzer and lemon. I'm thirsty. Emily, this has been so much fun. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
What a delight. Thank you for having me, Haley.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm executive producer Haley Sperling, sitting in for your host, Bianca Martin. Don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor. Just head to membership.citycast.fm/Madison. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this episode with someone who's a little bit spicy, or someone who won't freak out when you bring them a cookie salad? We'd love to be invited to that potluck. All right, we'll be back here tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, take good care and thanks for listening.